UT Martin first-year head coach Ryan Ritter. Coach, first season with the Skyhawks. Just give us some general thoughts, and then we'll get into some questions for you.
Yeah, well, first off, just super excited to be here with you guys. Obviously, us not having an opportunity to compete at Bethune-Cookman last year, being here at UT Martin is special, and for us, we brought in 14 new guys, and because of the pandemic and because of a lot of different factors, the transfer portal, it has been so fun and so unique to bring in an entire new roster, and so for us, man, it's exciting every day. We've got an unbelievable group of guys that are built from the right stuff. They're accountable. They want to be coached. They're great ambassadors in the community. And, we've been at it since about July 5th or 6th. And I know these dudes are really ready to get out and compete and put on the uniform and work together towards building a special program at UT Martin. So for us, it's just exciting every day to strap it up and try to find a way to get better.
Thanks, Coach. We'll go to some questions. And again, if you have one, let me know down in the chat. Adam Wells, WPSD, he is up first.
Hey, Coach. You talked about those 14 new players you brought in. I believe Alex told me, or Brian told me, you're the only team in the country with a completely brand new roster from last year. What was the biggest challenge in recruiting these guys, trying to get them to come to a program where you're starting literally from the ground up?
Well, I think the biggest challenge was, at this time when we were putting our roster together, there was no face-to-face recruiting. We watched as many videos as we could. We talked to as many people around, guys we've trusted, did as many Zooms as anybody in the country. But I think the hardest part for us is we're big people person. People, our staff, the first thing we had to do was put together a heck of a staff that has the same mindset in terms of impacting young people's lives. So for us, just to get 14 new guys, we felt like we got a great feel for them over Zoom. But ultimately, all 14 of them, I didn't meet 13 of the 14 until July 5th when they stepped on campus. And so I will say I was not the relief's not the word, but just really impressed by the character of people that we've had here the last 4 months since they've been on campus. So the whole virtual recruiting, it's fine when maybe you have 1, 2, 3, 4, but when you're getting 14 new guys on a roster, it becomes a little scary of just doing it all virtually. But I'm excited with the group we got, and that was definitely a challenge for us.
With that said, not seeing a lot of those guys until they stepped on campus, have you learned a lot more about these guys that you've brought in, that you've recruited, now that you've seen them in person, figuring out, okay, well, this guy has this ability versus another guy?
Yeah, absolutely. That's like I said, we watched as much video as we could. We talked to the people we trust. You're looking at statistics. You're watching synergy. But at the end of the day, when you get a chance to actually put your hands on them and see them going up and down and coach them, we've learned a tremendous amount about each one of our guys. Some guys that we thought are maybe a little more efficient in one area happen to be better players or ability to do something different. So, we had our work in the summer, and then, we had a chance to really crank it up here in the fall. But, we're learning something new every day, whether it's new staff member, whether it's new athletic trainer, whether it's new player, new manager. We're learning something new about our program every day, and it's just been a blast.
You always hear about coaches, especially new coaches, talking about trying to establish a culture. Obviously, at UT Martin, there's no one back from last year, so that culture didn't exist until now. How have you gone about trying to build that as a first-year coach at Martin and with all these players that are brand new?
Yeah, we talk a lot about, control the controllables, and that's attitude, effort, energy. And if we can do those things, 3 things every single day, I think we've got a chance to be really successful. And, success looks different for every group. Our job is to be 1-0, 1-0 every single day. And, for us, establishing a culture is very important on the court. It's equally important off the court. And, the odd thing we talked about as a staff, we have one player that we brought from Bethune-Cookman. Outside of that, we had never seen these guys in person. But even our guy from Bethune-Cookman, we didn't get to coach him last year. So when we go through a drill, we go through, your simple, whatever it is, your first drill of practice, we literally have to teach, hey, this is where we go. We go to this spot. We go to this spot. This is called the Bulldog drill. And there's there's only 2 or 3 people, me and one of my assistants, Denver Cobb, the only 2 people that have ever had a season together. So that part has been, I think really, really fun, but it's been really challenging when we say, hey, all right, hey, we're going Cincinnati drill. Well, nobody knows what Cincinnati drill is. So that's been, the teaching part of that has been really unique, been really fun. But there's no one for our guys to look in front and say, hey, we'll just follow this guy because no one's done it before. But as we've moved into, mid-October, I think that part's been really going in the right direction.
My last question for you is for you personally, going through what you did last year at Bethune-Cookman, not playing, how kind of sweet has these last couple of weeks been for you gearing up for a season that you're actually going to get to coach in and get to experience?
Well, I think, we all try to appreciate and live in the moment and really enjoy the journey, but sometimes we get caught looking at looking ahead or maybe talking about our past. And for me, I think just the appreciation that we have every single day to be around each other. We weren't allowed to be around our guys last year. We didn't have a season, so just that camaraderie, just the ability to go in and compete and try to win something together. I hope I do a good job of explaining to our staff and our team that, we're fortunate. We're lucky every single day. We've got to go out and compete together and enjoy the process and enjoy the journey of this whole thing. We've got some guys maybe that will be here 1 year that are in graduate school. We've got, 6 freshmen that could potentially be here 4 or 5 years. So, but in particular, this is the only team that we will all be a part of together. And we've got to savor that. We've got to enjoy it. We've got to make the most of it every single day.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Valley Hoops Insider, Harry from Valley Hoops Insider. Go ahead, Harry.
Hey, Ryan, good to see you. When we talked back right after you got the job, you had to do all this stuff that you've been talking about doing, putting together a staff and getting players. I'm an old radio guy. When we sell advertising, we're selling air. I mean, what were you selling to these 14 guys? What was your pitch?
Well, I think we were selling air at that point too. Because I had only been on campus I'd only been on campus one time until I officially got up here. So, the thing that we sold, and I think a lot of people get caught up in the glitz and glam and facilities and things that aren't, to me at least, important. And it's the same thing that we sold in junior college. It's the same thing that we sold at Bethune-Cookman. We've sold people, and we've sold relationships, and we've sold experiences. And, the bigger the gym that gets or the nicer the uniform, for us, it's never really been about that. And I think the most important thing was to surround myself with great staff members that have the same ideology, have the same values about building a program, student athlete first. And, that message has not changed is we talk about student athlete experience. And whether you're number 1, 2, 3, 14, all these guys are valued. And I think they feel that way. And, for us, that it's just, hey, this is who we are. We're going to tell you the truth. We have a process. We're going to recruit you hard. We're going to coach you hard. But more importantly, we're going to love on you, and we're going to be in your life not just these next 4 years, but the next 40 years.
When you put together a team, obviously you have a style that you want to play, and yet you're also scrambling for players. What was the balance or the way you could put that group together?
Well, this is always one of my favorite questions because every coach says, we're going to play fast. We're going to shoot threes. Everybody says that, and then when you go back and you look at Ken Palm, there's only quite a few people that can claim they play that way. So I'm going to tell you this, Harry. We have traditionally been a very, very good rebounding team from junior college to Bethune-Cookman, and we have played a very fast pace of play. And those are things I can't make up. You can go look at them. We have not been a great three-point shooting team. I wish we were. We just hadn't had that luxury yet. But for us, I will say, we have transitioned, I think, in the game of basketball is transitioning. We really think we've got 3, 4, or 5 guys on the floor that can make shots at all times. So in our recruiting, pure focus on basketball and the ability, we really put a lot into it to shooting the basketball. Guys that, I know it sounds simple, but guys that can dribble, pass, shoot. We've had a lot of great athletes. We've had a lot of great rim protectors, and we've got a couple here. But I think the biggest thing was we put a premium on shooting, and I think we did a good job with our roster to identify, although we did get 14 different guys. I think we did a very good job of keeping that as a priority and then recruiting that as well.
When you got Matt on your staff, You made him the associate head coach. What was the thinking behind that? Obviously, he's a guy that's accomplished a lot, and I've known him when he was at Missouri State. But what made you make that kind of move just year one in your program?
Yeah, Matt's a guy I've known for a long time. We actually, I'll tell you a quick story about Matt, which is great. He was the head coach at Motlow State when I was at Daytona State. And so if you don't know a lot about junior college, Daytona State's got some pretty nice resources. And at the time, Motlow was just a little bit behind us basketball-wise resource. But they had some really good players. Matt was a great coach. But we had a preseason jamboree, and I had never met him. And he DM'd me on Twitter and said, "Hey, Coach, I know this is it's kind of weird, but we only have one set of jerseys, and they're all green. Do you think you could be home tomorrow?" And we were supposed to be the visiting team. So long story short, we're showing up. We got our nice Nike Elite or what, I don't even know what we had. But we show up, and, I mean, they beat the brakes off us. And that was when I got a chance to know him. We were preseason top whatever. And so from that day on, we formed a very good relationship. He recruited all my guys when he was at Missouri State. But what I took away from him was he was about the student-athlete experience. He coached these guys hard, told them the truth, recruited them the right way. And the second part is he has great Tennessee ties. He's obviously a great recruiter, but he's been a head coach, so he knows what it's like to sit up there or stand up there, rather. So for me, it was a no-brainer having the ability to bring him in with me as a immediate impact as a former head coach, also with Tennessee ties and big-time junior college recruiter as well.
Appreciate you being in the league. I'm looking forward to getting to know you better.
We're excited about it. Thank you.
Anyone else has follow-ups or other questions, let me know. We got a few more minutes. Coach, before we transition, I wanted to ask you about your father is a very successful coach, and just learning from him. And did you always know you wanted to be a head coach, and was that sort of the plan, and just sort of how that dynamic works?
Well, Kyle, I'm shocked that today I'm actually not in the NBA, because that was my original goal. So no, I didn't know I always wanted to be a coach. I was talking to someone today. Me and LeBron James are the same age. Exactly. He's 1 month younger, and I can't imagine playing one game, let alone being one of the top players in the world at this age right now. But I did know that from a young age, I did know I wanted to impact people, and coaching happened to be a vehicle to be able to do that. And my dad, if you don't know, you can talk about all the great coaches in the country, Division I, II, 8, NAIA, whatever you want to say, and I'll put him with anybody in the country, not just because NAIA Hall of Fame or 700-plus wins or national championship. It's because the way he treats people, how he's impacted them, life after sport, and I do think that has a major major influence on the way we try to run our program. We may run different X's and O's, but I think our values of building a program from the bottom up, blue collar, hard work, treat people the right way, I think that absolutely played a factor into how I got into coaching.
So, having listened to a bunch of different coaches over the past 2 days, your team's all new, and some teams have everybody back. How do you personally get to know about the other teams in the OVC, and just to do your homework before we get into the season?
Yeah, I mean, for me right now, my 100% focus, and maybe this is wrong, but this is what I believe, my 100% focus has been on our group. We've got 14 new guys, but we've also got 7 new staff members. We've got 21 people that are trying to work towards a common goal every day, and I've been focused on our group. Obviously, we have some tremendous assistant coaches who have begun to take a look at other OVC members, and they've done a great job of prepping me and when I'm going to need to be prepped. But obviously, there's a lot of great coaches, a lot of great teams in this league, and as we get closer to the season, I'll lean on those guys to fill me in where I'm behind, and then we'll dig in like any other year. I know obviously some teams got everyone coming back. I imagine they're going to have a wrinkle or two that looks different in this year. So for us, it's focused on our group, trying to find a way to maximize them every single day.
Play off that going forward. Now the transfer portal, you don't know what teams have going from year to year. Since you got a whole new team this year, how do you foresee a mixture of transfers, freshmen, developing them over 4 or 5 years? What do you think the plan might be going forward for your program?
It's funny. Someone just asked me this weekend. They said, "Well, how many transfers do you have?" I said, "Well, we have 9." Like, "Oh my gosh, that's a ton." And I said, "Well, how many freshmen do you have?" So we have 5. "Oh, it's a ton." Well, we have a ton of everything. We literally signed 14 guys. So we had 5 Division I transfers, 1 Division II transfer, 2 junior college transfers, a kid that's 21 that's somehow still a redshirt freshman. So we have a good mix of a lot of pieces. But I think, I don't know exactly the route we'll go, but I'll tell you this. I believe in the people here. I believe in our staff. I think if we can get good young people to come in here and develop that talent and enjoy their experience in Martin, sprinkle in a couple transfers and four-year guys, I think that'd be the ideal mix for us going forward. But that they said we've got 14. I know we have two that I think they're both on their 6th year. I think they actually do have to leave college next year. But other than that, I don't know exactly what to expect here going forward.
Before we transition into Darius, I want to ask you about your schedule. Some really good teams on there. You're also going to play at Evansville, so a place where the OVC tournament's going to be this March. But just thoughts on the schedule, and I don't know how much was already set and how much your staff had to do with it when you took over.
Yeah, the schedule, obviously everyone can see it. We're going to get a real eye-opener on November 9th at Tennessee. I think they'll be one of the best programs in the country. Unbelievable respect for those guys. But, yeah, obviously, a lot of the schedule, some of the schedule was done. We owed quite a few games, and what we tried to do was, two things. Is obviously we wanted to challenge ourselves non-conference, but, I think the OVC is so challenging in itself. We just want to make sure we were prepared for different scenarios. And so, we've got some I'd like to say regional games in terms of Middle Tennessee, and obviously staying close with Tennessee on November 9th. But for us to schedule, it is what it is. It's going to be extremely difficult. Every night, I don't care who you're playing. 31 nights, we got to prepare the way that we do and be focused on us and try to find a way to put our best foot forward. So obviously, the schedule's challenging, but everyone in here knows, our focus is going 1-0 and trying to find a way to try to compete for an OVC championship, get hot in the tournament, and find a way to get to the NCAA tournament. I think that's what everyone's goal is.